Hey, y'all, jump on real quick. So I've pretty much just ended my day and came in and unwind. So I'm kind of getting some read time in. And I wanted to share with you all just some nuggets that I'm applying to myself that I think will be beneficial for you. Listen, coming up on the new year, you're going to want to jump on my Leadership Empowerment Resource Group page, as well as the Destiny Center, while I will be doing continuing education on both platforms, whether it's business coaching or whether it is ministry and marketplace training. Anyway, what I want to share with you all are 7 habits highly effective people. 7 habits of highly effective people. I'm going to read to you all probably just those 7. And what I'll do is I'll come back and elaborate maybe in the weeks to come. But it's just some of my personal reading that I am going to share with you just because I love you and I care for you. All right. And I want to always be able to say that I gave something back. So I invite you into my arsenal. All right. So what I have is number 1, if you haven't got my business book for those who are entrepreneurs, you want to get it, and you can log on to www.drfrederickacklin.com, drfrederickacklin.com, and you're going to want to get this one, Mind Your Business. It is Entrepreneurship 101. It will take you through the simple foundational steps of starting your business, things that you need to know. All right. Anyway, listen. So 7 habits, and this is an overview. I'm going to give you just a few of those. I'll give you all 7. I won't elaborate much, but I'll give you all 7. Again, this is something that I'm reading, and I'm sharing it with you. All right. Number 1, be proactive. Number 1, be proactive. What does that mean? Well, proactive people do more than take initiative. They recognize they are responsible for their own choices and have the freedom to choose based on principles and values rather than on moods or conditions. Proactive people are agents of change. And the direct opposite of that are people who are reactive. And so the first thing that you're going to want to do is establish a proactive habit. Reactive individuals are reactive people don't take responsibility for their own lives. They feel victimized, a product of circumstances, their past, and other people. They do not see themselves as the creative force of their lives. All right. So let me just back this up because I am a word-based entrepreneur. And I recall the word of God saying, I have set before you both life and death, blessing and cursing. And then he says, choose life. All right. However, while God has set before us the greatest thing that he gave us was the power of choice. It was the power of choice. So you want to establish a habit of being proactive and not reactive. And of course, life is going to constantly throw things at you that will keep you in a place where you are reactive and you find yourself living life based on present circumstances, and you're constantly being thrown off focus of what really matters. And so life is going to happen, just know that, and you have to make a decision what you're going to make. 911s. Number 2, habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Man, this is a good one. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. Biblically based, Even the Lord said in the Word, He said, I determined the end from the beginning. So even Hollywood follows this model. God, we have to understand, God has already established the end. And so this is why we need to learn the teaching and the revelation of the finished work. And we need to live in the finished work, or we need to live finished. And what that means is, that once you establish that, you won't find yourself constantly being reactive to everything that comes up, but you will stay focused because you started with the end in mind. And so here's a great time for many of us. We are embarking upon 2023, and there are some things that we want to establish. So what you want to do is the goals that you set, you want to go ahead and set those, put them in place, write the vision, make it plain, establish how 2023 will end. Go ahead and paint a picture of that. I mean, even if you got to put it on your vision board, paint a picture of what the end will look like. And with that being said, then you will become the artist that will begin to be sure that you're stroking the pen to look like what you had in mind. And so you want to begin with the end in mind. Even in Hollywood or with the movies, so really they always begin with the last scene first. So when they build a movie, they work it from the end back. Because if you don't do that, you'll find yourself all over the place, and you never really have a concrete ending. And so I'm saying to you, whether it's saving money, whether it's your health, whatever that thing is, you want to begin with the end in mind. Now, here's a habit for someone who is not beginning with the end in mind. Begin with no end in mind. These people lack personal vision and have not developed a deep sense of personal meaning and purpose. They have not paid the price to develop a mission statement. I'll read on. And they live life based on society's values instead of self-chosen values. All right. Again, and what I love about this is they have not paid the price to develop a mission statement. So these individuals here begin with no end in mind. They are living moment to moment. They're living day to day. And again, biblically based, the Word of God says, write the vision, make it plain, and they that read it will run with it. And I want you to understand, the runners are not just individuals who will come on board to be a part of your team, but the runners also will be you. Because when you have this vision written, it will stay before you and it will remind you. So not only will you catch the vision, but the vision will catch you. All right, so we want to begin with the end in mind. Number 3, habit, and I'm blowing through here. Again, I'm just sharing some of my reading. Habit number 3 is put first things first. Man, this is a good one. Put first things first. People who put first things first organize and execute around their most important priorities. Whatever the circumstance, they live and are driven by the principles they value most. Put first things first. People who put first things first organize and execute around their most important priorities. Whatever the circumstance, they live and are driven by the principles they value the most. Let me help you with this. I'm going to take you back biblically. That was a story where there was a man who, by the name of Nehemiah, who was given an assignment to rebuild the walls. All right. And so Sanballat, Geshem, and Tobiah, they came, and part of the strategy was to get him to come down off the wall and to depart from the work for a time to meet them in a valley or meet them in a low place. And he caught what the strategy of the enemy was, and he understood that this would be a distraction. So what am I saying to you? But first things first, you want to go ahead and establish what are your priorities. And let me say this here, I say it all the time. Life is going to happen. Pookie, Ray Ray, your cousin them, your brother them, your sister them, if I can just put it like that, they're going to have 911s that take place in their lives, and they will begin to try to project that 911 on you. You have to be able to stand back and properly assess the fact that this is their 911 and it's not your 911. Now, I'm not saying that you don't show compassion, but what I am saying is that when it will take you away from what you have prioritized, okay, then you may not want to indulge in that. And I know that this is going to be a tough one. People are going to say you're acting brand new. People are going to say you changed. All of that. They're going to say that you're insensitive and all of that. But at the end of the day, I can take you scripturally, even to Christ. He was so focused on his assignment to get to the cross of Calvary that even when Peter began to share with him about his crucifixion, Peter stood up and said, "Be it far from you." Now, the same individual who walked on water, the same individual who got the revelation that he was the Christ, Jesus turns around and rebukes him and actually says, "Get thee behind me, Satan." In other words, what he was saying is that anything that will deter me from my mandate is not the will of God for my life. And so what I'm saying to you, even for those in business or even in your personal life, you're going to have to set what are priorities. Let me say this right here. So if you have allotted study time, you have allotted meditation time, I'm going to tell you right now, your brother, your sister, your cousin, people are going to call you. They're going to want to hang out. They're going to want to go out. They're going to want to do things. And while I'm not against that, I am a stickler for enjoying life, having fun, and all of that. However, when it comes into place, it begins to usurp in position or authority over what I prioritize, then my answer is no. All right, and so that's what you're going to have to do. If you're going to really, really be focused, watch this, and you're going to really, really get ahead in life, you're going to have to establish what is priority and put first things first. All right, now let's look at the other side of that. Put second things first. This is the opposite side of those who put first things first, which should be a habit that you practice. Now, there are several individuals who are putting second things first. These people are crisis managers, watch this, who are unable to stay focused on high leverage tasks because of their preoccupation with circumstances, their past, or other people. They are caught up in the thick of thin things and are driven by urgent matters. Let me say this about life, about your life. If you're going to be successful and you're going to meet your mandate and you're going to fulfill your destiny, you have to check in every day. And let me say this, things are going to come your way to try to prevent you from checking in. And what do I mean by checking in? There are several people who come to work, but they're not at work. There's several individuals who come to worship, but their minds are actually not there. They are working within your business, or they're working within their own business, and yet they have not checked in because of these circumstances that have them preoccupied. And so what you want to do, again, I say, establish this third habit, put first things first, go ahead and establish what your priorities are, and then allow it to be a compass so it will begin to govern and guide your life. Habit number 4, Think win-win. Man, this is good. Now, I'm going to say this. Here's a secret nugget. What has made me a successful man and a wealthy man is that I established this principle. I said that the more value I add to others, the more money I make. The more value I add to others, the more money I make. And so when I adopted that principle and that philosophy, my thing is that if I can help put others on, right? And of course the paperwork is right. If I can help put others on, and then I can add value to them, then ultimately they'll add value to me. You get what I'm saying? They'll add value to me. And so that has worked for me. And so think win-win. People who think win-win have a frame of mind and a heart that seeks mutual benefit. Listen to me, mutual benefit and mutual respect on all interactions. They think in terms of abundance and opportunity, in terms of we, not me. They continually seek to build more trusting relationships with others by making deposits into the emotional bank account. Listen here, you have to have win-win situations. This is a habit that you want to establish. I know that for me, in business early on, I found myself in the company of several sharks that in the outcome, although I agreed to do the job, I felt some type of way because I knew I had undersold myself. They had talked me down so low. Watch this right here. That it was not rewarding for me. Now, what I had to establish with them is that, hey, listen, in every deal, when we walk away from the table, we want to be sure that it's win-win. Make that a habit. You cannot be the only one that's winning. That's in every relationship across the board, okay? Because if, in fact, that you're only thinking of yourself, hear what I'm saying, you are actually devaluing yourself. You're devaluing your business. Okay, you're devaluing the relationships that you have. All right, so the opposite of think win-win is think win-lose or lose-win. And these are bad habits, right? These people have a scarcity mentality and see life as a zero-sum game. They have ineffective communication skills and make withdrawals from other people's emotional bank accounts, resulting in a defensive mentality and adversarial feelings. Watch this. And so you don't want to have that particular habit. You don't want to have that particular habit where you have ineffective communication, where you have scarcity in mentality, and you see life as a zero-sum game, meaning that you approach every situation as a liability. You approach every situation where you're making a withdrawal and there's no deposits, right? So if you were there, don't be fooled. The people around you are tolerating you. I'm going to say it again. If this is you, the people around you, the people that you're in a relationship with are tolerating you. All right, because if you're going to build strong relationships, you're going to build strong business relationships, you're going to build strong ministry relationships, you want to approach it with a win-win. You want to think win-win. That is a good habit. Number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, this one is tough. I'll say that again. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Help me here. When we listen with the intent to understand others rather than with the intent to reply, we begin true communication and relationship building. Opportunities to then speak openly and to be understood come much more naturally and easily. Seeking to understand takes consideration, right? Seeking to understand takes courage, right? Effectiveness lies in balancing and blending the two. So we want to seek to understand, then to be understood. And I have to say, this particular one is challenging. I know even for myself, because I have been a conflict resolve type person or a problem solver for a long time. I mean, even as a young man. And so I found myself in a lot of conversations. I listen to respond. I'm going to lift both hands right here. I listen to respond because I approach it from the perspective that I am trying to fix it, or I'm trying to resolve the issue. I had to learn in a lot of my relationships, business relationships, where there are times individuals just want to be heard. They just want to be understood. They just want their particular emotions about the situation to be understood, or at least heard out. And so this is going to be a great habit that you're going to establish as you move into 2023. You want to seek to understand, then to be understood. In other words, you want to take down, you want to be sure that you clearly hear what is being displayed and placed on the table. And then with that, you can build strong relationships. Now, here's the flip side, which is a bad habit. Seek first to be understood. These people state first their points of view, which are based solely on their autobiography and motives, without attempting to understand others first. They blindly prescribe without first diagnosing the problem. That's a bad habit. That's a bad habit. That's a bad habit. They seek first to be understood. These people state first their points of view, which are based solely on their autobiography and motives, without attempting to understand others first. They blindly prescribe without first diagnosing the problem. So you don't want to be that individual, because what it does is, again, it will diminish relationships and cause them from growing and expanding. And that goes for business as well. If you're in business, when I do deals or when I do contracts, everybody walks away from the table feeling that they have gained something. You get what I'm saying? So it's a win-win situation, and you want to keep it like that. Number 6, we only got 2 more. Number 6, synergize. This is the good habit. You want to synergize, all right? Synergistic people seek the third alternative with others. Watch this. Synergize, okay? Not my way, not your way, but a third way that is better than either of us could come up with individually. Man, God, this takes maturity. All right, watch this. It says, synergy is the fruit of respecting, valuing, and even celebrating one another's differences. It's about solving problems, seizing opportunities, and working out the differences. It's the kind of creative cooperation. Listen, how many deals, all right, did you walk away from, or how many relationships that you walked away from that could have been benefiting to you? Ministry relationships, business relationships that you severed the tie simply because you did not get your way. So we want to, as we go into 2023, we want to establish habit number 6. We want to synergize. That, listen, it's not my way, it's not your way, but we're going to be open to a third way that may be actually better than what we even ascribe to, right? And so it kind of piggybacks on the seeking first to be understood. Seeking first to understand, and then to be understood. And it also piggybacks on thinking win-win. So you want to synergize, because watch this. There are a lot of times, and that's why in a lot of contracts you have where if there is a conflict in a lot of contracts, you have an arbitration agreement that before we go to court, we will bring in a third party that will take a look at the contract, will actually view the information at hand and be able to see your side, see their side, and hopefully synergize to where there is a third side that is beneficial to both sides. And so I'll say this, when I hear individuals who just say my way or the highway, or there's a breach in relationships, and I do know that there definitely comes a time when parting ways, it's best, right? But that is after you have properly diagnosed every opportunity to synergize. Let me give you a biblical reference. Paul, there was a great conflict that rose up between him and one of the other apostles over John Mark. The Bible says that they split ways, and they actually never reconnected as far as doing any mission trips together. At the end of this thing, Paul said, now send John Mark to me because he's proper to me for ministry. So that was a moment in the future where he had to practice synergy, right? Where he leaned into a third option. It could have been after the fact that the boy had matured. It could have been that Paul matured. But what I'm trying to say is that before you part ways, or before you just say that this is not working for me, or before you just end it and walk away from business relationships, from any relationship there is, let's make sure that we explore every opportunity to synergize, because sometimes there is a third view. All right? Now, here's the bad habit of that. Compromise, fight, or flight. Ineffective people believe the whole is less than the sum of its parts. I'm going to say that again. Ineffective people believe the whole is less than the sum of its parts. They try to clone other people in their own image. Differences in others are looked upon as threats. That's a bad habit. Differences in others are looked upon as threats. Biblical reference, if you look at the most powerful leader that ever lived and is still living right now, when he began to select his team, the 12 that will be around him, if you begin to look at this, they all came from different backgrounds. All right. He chose differences. All right. And he did not try to change their personality. Right? He did not try to change their personality. And you can still see their personality in effect when you begin to look at their writing. There's a certain writing style that Luke did as opposed that Mark did, and as opposed to John did, as opposed to Matthew. Each one of them had a different writing style because each one of them had a different personality. And so what I'm saying here is that for those who don't want to practice synergy, where you look at a third option to explore to be sure that everyone win-win, or that it's not your way or the highway, you find yourself trying to clone everyone to think like you and to be like you. Now, in every organization, you want to establish what the culture is. However, you also want to give room for differences. And again, don't have to be difference in culture, because the culture is the culture, right? But personalities may be different. And they actually, if you properly connect the dots, you have to find a way to add value. How to find a way to add value. I heard my grandpops in ministry, Bishop Jake, say this. Um, he said that it's very disturbing that an individual would throw all of me away over the one particular area of me that they don't agree with. So I shared a perspective that they did not totally agree with. And instead of trying to apply the option of synergy, they threw all of me away while as if there are other areas that I did not add value in. And so what we want to do is that we want to build, man, a dynasty, and we want to live in success and have great momentum. We have to move away from this whole clone perspective. Most of the reason why you're stunning your growth right now is because you're staying in the same rooms. As a matter of fact, you may want to check your self-esteem, because maybe it is that you like being the smartest one in the room, because if there was anyone else in the room that added value, you would find yourself intimidated by that. And you need to check that, and you need to handle that quickly, or you're going to stunt your growth. So you want to be sure that you can actually come in rooms where individuals speak a language that you don't understand. Okay, you don't want to be the smartest one in your circle. That was a reason why Christ chose the 12 that he chose. Every one of them brought something to the table that added value. All right, so last habit that you want to establish, and I'm getting off, is sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw. Effective people constantly renew themselves in the 4 basic areas of life. Don't y'all miss this. Effective people now. Effective people constantly renew themselves in the 4 basic areas of life. Number 1, physical. 2, social and emotional. 3, mental. Number 4, spiritual. This increases their capacity to live all other habits of effectiveness, right? So number 7, the 7th habit that you want to make sure that you practice, right? That effective people practice. You want to implement this one, right? Sharpen the saw. Effective people constantly renew themselves in the 4 basic areas of life. Now, let me say this here. Many of you, everyone watching me right now, everyone that catches on the replay, I am certain that you have a cell phone. We're in the cell phone age. We've been in it for years, right? And so there comes a moment where you either get a text, you'll get an email, you get a download where there is new software available to you. There's new software that you need to download that's available to you. Now, when you don't do that, you're not operating at the maximum capacity that your device could operate in. So, and most of the time, I'm going to hit you with this, most of the time, the reason why we don't go ahead and upgrade or download that new software is because we don't make the time for it. we're so busy that we don't make the time for it. Now, of course, I'm part of the Apple family, and I'll get an alert that it will actually download through the course of the night while I'm sleeping, and so that's kind of how I always get what I get. Because again, busy guy. But listen to me, we have to take the time to be sure that we make these necessary downloads. So I'm saying this to you in your personal life. There are alerts that will come up, and you know you need this upgrade. Listen, you need to download. You need to take the time to do this. If you're going to be an effective person, you want to sharpen the saw. And the 4 areas that you want to constantly renew yourself is going to be your physical, All right. So we know that our bodies, His Word, is the temple of the Holy Ghost. So we want to be our best physically, right? When this housing that carries the most potent part of you is out of sync, out of whack. Okay, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna know it. You'll be sluggish and all of that. So you want to constantly renew yourself physically, right? Listen to your body. Listen to your body. It will talk to you. It'll tell you what it rejects. Pay attention to what causes you to be sluggish. Pay attention to what causes your body to react in a certain way, and then notate it, earmark it. Try something different, all right? So we want to constantly renew our physical. We also want to constantly renew our social and emotional, man. We want to renew our social and emotional, all right? So listen, there are times, you got to step outside of what you know. You got to step outside of familiar. Go to places that you haven't been before. Step into restaurants that you haven't been before. Go into venues that you haven't been before. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be good for your renewal of your social. Meet new people. Meet new people. It's going to be imperative for your success. And then the other part of that that's coupled with that is your emotions, emotionally. All right, because there's always trauma that comes. Trauma comes, whether it's in suffering a loss, watch this right here. Trauma is also part of success. People don't know that, right? Because every time you win, right, you have to give up something. My God, I'm going to say it again. Every time you win, you have to give up something. All right? Constantly when it's time to go up or it's time to go to the next level, I can tell you right now, there's going to have to be something that is cut that you loved or that you liked or that you enjoyed doing. The sacrifice is going to be there. That's a loss as well. So trauma comes with that. So what I want to say is you want to constantly renew yourself socially as well as emotionally. You want to deal with that. And I'm going to say this right here. I am an advocate of mental health. Okay, I would say for 2023, for everyone who is spiritual, you got the word, you got a pastor, you got an apostle, all of that. You know, you pray in the Holy Ghost, and you know you into the deep things of God. Let me just tell you something. You still need to find somebody's couch to sit on. All right. Now, and this doesn't mean that you're crazy, but at the same time, real truth is that we all have a little crazy. All right. And so you want to be sure that you're emotionally healthy as well, not just physically, but you're emotionally healthy. You're socially healthy. Socially healthy is that you make sure that you constantly vet toxic relationships. All right, and emotionally healthy. This is going to be important for you. There are people right now that I know without a doubt they're giants in the spirit, but they're not going to go where God would destine for them to go. And even if they went there, they're not going to stay because of their mental health, their mental capacity. And the sad thing is that many of us, which what I've seen being in the church world just about all my life, and then being in ministry over half of my life, that for those who are spiritual and charismatic, we were able to try to hide our mental starvation, like where we really lacked in our mental health, that we were actually unhealthy. And so we hid behind a lot of things, right? And so if you're going to establish habit number 7, you want to sharpen the saw. So the second part of the fourth thing is social and emotional. Next is mental, and then next is spiritual. So you want to constantly be renewing yourself in these particular areas. Find time to meditate upon the word. Find time to get in the word, to hear the word. We have no excuse today. We have no excuse today. All right, for hearing the word. We have no excuse today. I mean, you can get the word where you're riding down the road. You can be listening to the word. All right, so it's not a problem. Invest in yourself. Go ahead and get serious. All right, get serious. Okay, download it in your car where you can listen to the word. You need that. All right, so this increases their capacity to live all other habits of effective. So you want to sharpen the saw. Now here's the flip side, and here's the dysfunction and the downside are the total opposite of this good habit. Here's the bad part of it, right? Wear out the saw. Now the habit that you want to establish is sharpen the saw. Here's the other side, wear out the saw. Ineffective people lack a program of self-renewal, self-improvement, and eventually lose the cutting edge they may have once had. They eventually lose the cutting edge they may have once had, and the reason is that they have wore out the saw. They did not sharpen the saw. Let me give you a prime example. I'll give you word on that as well. Grace and peace, Pastor Henderson. Listen, here we go. There were the sons of Elisha. They were the sons of the prophets. And they came to Elisha and they said, the place that we dwell with you is too small for us. And then Elisha said to them, well, listen, go cut down trees and make room for yourselves. So he released them to do that, right? The Bible says that while one man was felling a beam, in other words, he was hitting the beam. He was hitting the beam with the saw. The Bible said that the axe head fell into the water and it sunk, right? And so let me tell you this. I'm not going to say that man could not cut down that tree just with the wood without the axe head, but I'm going to tell you that it would take him longer and it would eventually wear him down physically. There are many of us, because we're not sharpening the saw, we're out here still trying to blow forward and move forward in life, and we don't even have an axe head anymore. We're hitting obstacles that are in our way with just a stick. So what I want to speak over your life as you enter into 2023, I prophesy this to you, that God restore your axe head. God restore your edge. And you're going to have to be open to that. All right, because if you're going to be effective and maintain your momentum and continue to blow forward, you're going to have to sharpen the saw. You cannot be out here where you've overused the saw so much that now it's dull. And many of our lives have come to this particular place. And so how do we sharpen the saw? We sharpen the saw by becoming a mentee of someone else, having a coach. All right, we can sharpen the saw. I have platforms. We can sharpen the saw by connecting with the Destiny Center. We can sharpen the saw by connecting with Leadership Empowerment Resource Group. We can sharpen the saw by jumping on and getting in the master classes that I have. And I'm not the only one that has master classes. There's 7 individuals that do, right? We have no excuse for sharpening the saw today. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube where you can sharpen the saw. But you want to invest in yourself. So going back to where I said begin with the end in mind, as you go into 2023, you need to go ahead and set apart quarterly where you're going to sharpen the saw. So invest where you will attend conferences, whether it is physically or whether it is virtually. You want to be sure that you sharpen the saw. You want to have you some weapons. You want to get you some content. Me, I am a book fanatic. I'm constantly reading. Even with what I shared with you all, I'm constantly sharpening myself. You know why? Because I use my saw frequently. All right? I'm constantly using my saw, being a serial entrepreneur, running multiple companies. All right, dealing with employees, dealing with managers, dealing with customers. Come on, dealing with even my division leaders who are like franchiseers. All right, you can dull the saw quickly. So if you understand that your saw is constantly turning, you want to be sure that you sharpen the saw. So guess what? I've given you seven good habits that you need to implement. And what I'll do is, I promise you, I'll come back. I will have my team set up something where we can come back and we can do a scorecard. We can make an assessment of the 7 habits to actually see where you are. All right. Now, of course, you'll pay for that particular session. But again, that's something that you will invest in yourself with. So these are just some nuggets that I have applied and I'm implementing with myself, and I just want to go live and share them with you. So I am about to log off, man, and get back to some personal time and personal space. I love you all to life. Man, that's seven habits of highly effective people. 7 habits of highly effective people. There it is. I'm out, man. Y'all stay up. Share this video. Share this video. Share this video. Share this video. I will have my team pull it and download it and actually drop it on my YouTube page. I'll probably even put this one on my Leadership Empowerment Resource Group page, my website as well, under the Destiny Center. But share this video. Share this video. Now these are nuggets. It won't cost you anything. I gave it to you free. All right, I gave it to you free. All you got to do is listen, write them down, and then create an action plan. Don't just listen, but implement it. All right. Y'all have a good one. Peace.